Hey everybody, it's Terry Quinn, and today I'm talking about pearls. One of the biggest things that we have happen in our stores is somebody will bring in a strand of their grandmother's pearls. She wore them every day for 30 years and 50 years later, and she got them from her mother, and over time they have changed color. And this is one of Granny's pearls. And it still has dirt on it and everything, as you can see right there. It's just not a good pearl, and the color is off. If you notice, it's not white anymore. This isn't as bad. Sometimes they're even worse. Here's the bad thing. Pearls are strung on silk. It's a silk thread that goes through them. Every pearl, then they tie a knot, they put another one, tie a knot all the way through. So you'll actually see little knots in between them, and that keeps the pearls from hitting each other and wearing each other out. How do they get that string in there? They do is they cut a hole through the pearl. The outside shell of a pearl is called the nacre of the pearl, similar to, like, you know, your tooth and getting a filling. Well, they drilled a hole right into this pearl, in one side, out the other side. Now, when you wear a strand of pearls, which is what Grammy did with this pearl, she had 100 pearls on her neck, and she'd put her makeup on, and she'd put her hairspray on and different things. And what happens is a pearl came from the ocean and it absorbs things like a sponge does, right? So the silk thread also absorbs things. So if the silk thread over time gets dirty from everything from makeup to hairspray and everything else I mentioned, then it seeps like oil on a wick of a candle. You see it and it lights the candle because the oil will stretch up and go to light the candle. Okay, so this oil that gets on your skin or gets on the strand of pearls, it actually creeps inside the hole of the pearl and destroys the pearl from the inside out. Once they've turned yellow, that's it. They're never coming back. That's why they always say it's so important to get your pearls restrung every 1 to 3 years. So the old saying is, pearls are the last thing on before you go out. Before you go out, after you've done your hair, your makeup, and everything else, you get your dress on, the last thing, put your necklace on, or your bracelet, or your ring. And when you get home, it's the first thing off. Last thing on, first thing off, okay? Now, how do you tell the difference between a good strand of pearls? Let me show you a few other pearls just to give you an idea. See this pearl I showed you? It's Grammy's pearl. Now this is a really nice pearl. See the luster and how shiny it is? So, and it has a little pink hue to it. Now this pearl is blemished. See this? It has some blemishes on it right there. And it also doesn't have the shine, which is the luster. How does the pearl get this luster? Whether it's freshwater pearl, saltwater pearl, I mean, the rarity factor of finding natural pearls is, I've never seen a strand of natural pearls in my whole life. They'll take pearls that come out and they're not round or they're not the right shape, and they grind them all up and they spin them in a perfect spheres. And then they insert them into the oyster with tweezers, and they almost like sticking it under its tongue, you know? And what happened is, it's an irritant to the oyster or to the mussel, and so they can't get it out, but they're trying to get it out, so it spins. And as it spins, the longer it stays in, the thicker the nacre, and the thicker the shell, and the better the luster. So they could leave it in for 6 months, or they could leave it in for 2 years. And the longer they leave it in, it grows bigger and bigger, has a thicker shell, and has a beautiful luster. There's freshwater pearls now that are so perfectly round because they took that nucleus and they made it so perfectly round that even though it's freshwater, it's a mussel, they can put it inside and just leave it in for 6 months. Just long enough to get a luster around it. It's not real thick, but when they take it out, it's very hard to tell, is this a freshwater pearl or saltwater pearl? So you have to be careful. There is, you can typically tell, you just have to take a good look. I took a cruise ship of customers to buy in the Bahamas, and we said, oh, you know what, here's walkie-talkies, and if you find something that you want to buy, I'll come and help you negotiate for a good price or make sure that they're not taking advantage of you. And somebody called me and found this beautiful, beautiful strand of pearls. And I said to them, are these freshwater or saltwater? Akoya. And they said, they're cultured. And I said, I understand that, but are they cultured freshwater or are they cultured saltwater? And she said, they're cultured. Every single pearl is cultured. That's that little seed that they put inside an oyster or a mussel. All right? So every pearl is cultured. Every pearl starts with that little seed. Unless it's a miracle to find one, let alone a whole strand, right? So they didn't know the answer, whether it was freshwater or cultured. I knew the answer. They were freshwater. They weren't perfectly round. I'm going to show you a strand like that right now, and you're going to see it next to this one. So there's a little difference in color, so it would make it a little easier for you. But when I put this down on the pad, you're going to see a big difference. So these are freshwater, and these are saltwater, Akoya. They both have a nice luster. This strand that's kind of peachy color has the silk thread is peachy color to match it. It really looks nice. So both strands would be really nice. Now watch what happens. I put it on this pad and I roll it. See how I'm rolling it? Watch this one pearl right here. Can you see that little blemish right there? You'll see this little bit of waves in the pearls. Alright, this is an extremely good strand of pearls. There's hardly any blemishes or anything. But now, this is the saltwater Akoya. Watch what happens when I put the freshwater on here. They're not even round. They look like little ovals. So these are freshwater pearls. Now, this company that I saw, they had a strand very similar to this, and it was $500 a strand. And she, within a few seconds of talking to me, she said, but for you, they're half off. They'd be $250. Well, I'll sell this strand in my store for under $150 every day of the week, regular price. So $500 down to $250. She was still way too high, because freshwater pearls, you don't have to worry about the oysters or clams, that is, or mussels, getting their mussels, and they don't get the diseases as saltwater. There's a lot more things that can happen to an oyster. So many times you can lose the entire harvest on an oyster. I will just show you as a bonus a couple little things here. These two pearls are black pearls. These two pearls are black pearls. Now the difference between these two is these are natural and these are dyed. Oysters don't have black pearls. Only the Tahitian pearls are black pearls, and they have to be bigger. So see how good a quality this is, and a high luster, and these are just dyed. They're dyed. And then the next type of a pearl is called a Baroque pearl. And a Baroque pearl actually does have a variance in shape. See the lines that it's got on it? A lot of people really like Baroque pearls because everyone knows they're real. These would also be natural colors. They're not dyed, and they're South Sea. When you're buying pearls, you have to know a little bit more than just, oh, I want to get a nice strand of pearls for my wife or my daughter or graduation. You have to make sure that they're what they say they are. Freshwater or saltwater, that they're not dyed, natural colors, all the different things that you've got to take into account. Pearls come in all different shapes. Look at these pearls. So there's a lake that is now extinct in Japan. It's called Lake Biwa. I was told these were Biwa pearls. That all being said, the number one thing is, if they're an honorable store, you should be able to return them. No matter where you go, what you do. Whether you buy them online or you buy them in a store. But to try to get a pearl education, I'm happy to have you call me or come into the store, and I can show you anything you want to see up close. If there's anything else that you'd like to learn about, please let me know. If you have any questions about pearls, what's your favorite pearl? I've showed you some different ones. Which one did you like the best? Put it in the comments below. I'd really like to hear. And if there's anything you'd like me to talk about in the future. But click the thumbs up button, please, and subscribe to learn a little bit more next time. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. All right, bye-bye.